Hello students, welcome to the second video of the chapter 13, that is limits and derivatives. So in this chapter we shall see a few theorems related to limits, and then we shall solve the exercise 13.1, a few problems from there. So the first theorem that we have is that theorem that for any integer n, we have limit x tends to n, x to the power n minus a to the power n divided by x minus a. This is equal to n a to the power n minus 1. A very beautiful theorem. So using this you can directly write the result here, okay, or else you need to divide the thing and do it elaborately if you do not know this theorem. So how to do it? Here, if we want to see the proof, this is a function, this is actually a rational function that is of the form p by q, and this is a polynomial of degree n, and this is a polynomial of degree 1. Now what to do? At first let us divide this by this. So we have x to the power n minus a to the power n. If you divide it x by x minus a, what shall we have? You see here we have the degree n, so we need to write x to the power n minus 1. So it will equate to x to the power n, and minus we shall have a into x to the power n minus 1. So in the next line this will get cancelled and this will be positive, so we shall have a to the power a x to the power n minus 1 minus a to the power n. Next, what to write? Into a along with x to the power n minus 2, so that the first term becomes same. So we shall have a x to the power n minus 1 and multiply the negative sign, so it will be a square x to the power n minus 2. Fine. So give a positive and negative, these two will get cancelled. Now again this a square x to the power n minus 2 will come here, minus a to the power n. So you need to write again here plus here a square x to the power n minus 3. So a square x to the power n minus 2, this will be, and minus a cube x to the power n minus 3. Again it will get cancelled, this will be positive. So it will continue like this, okay, till the final remainder is 0. So what we get is that we get a sequence of numbers here, or sequence of terms. You can see there what is the pattern. At first there was no a, that means I can write a to the power 0, that is 1. Next the power of a has increased by 1, next it has increased by 2, and it is going on. So finally we can say that the power of a will be n minus 1, because this is the highest, and next we have a to the power n. So finally the power will be e to the power n minus 1. So what will be the previous term? Here you see in case of x, the highest power we are having here is n minus 1, next it is decreasing n minus 2, n minus 3, and going on. So the last it might be only x, that is x to the power 1, and here it is actually x to the power 0. So x is diminishing. So here it is x, so what will be the previous a? Here it will be n minus 2, okay, and gradually it is becoming a to the power 0. So this is the pattern, or using the pattern we can get the total answer here. Now using the Euclid's division rule, what we can write? We have x to the power n minus a to the power n, or just this is actually equal to this into this plus quotient into divisor into quotient plus remainder, isn't it? Remainder will be 0 at last, so this into this, that is x minus a into x to the power n minus 1 plus a x to the power n minus 2 plus a square x to the power n minus 3, and so on till a to the power n minus 1. So this is how we have expanded x to the power n minus x to the power a to the power n. Now what is our target? We need to find the limit of this function. Okay, so limit of x tends to n, sorry, it will be x tends to a. Limit x tends to a, x to the power n minus a to the power n will be x minus a. Now you can see one thing, why a? Because we are finding the limit at the point a, and since if we put here a minus will be 0, this will be 0, that is why we are finding this. Okay, otherwise simply if we put the value of a, we can get the result if it is defined. So this is equal to, I can write in place of this, because x to the power n minus a to the power n is this whole term. Now if I divide it by x minus a, this will get cancelled, so we shall be remaining with this part only. So this will be equal to limit x tends to a, x to the power n minus 1 plus x to the power n minus 2, and so on till a to the power n minus 1. Now using the algebra of limits, so we can write it separately. X tends to a, x to the power n minus 1 plus limit x tends to a into x to the power n minus 2, and so on, limit x tends to a to the power n minus 1. Okay, so this will give us what? Now since this x is defined for whatever a we have, or for whatever real numbers, so just replace it by a. So this will be a to the power n minus 1 plus, here we can bring out the a outside, so this will be a to the power n minus 2, and so on, and lastly we have a to the power n minus 1 again. So what is this? This is actually equal to a to the power n minus 1 plus a into a into a to the power n minus 2. That means if I add the power, so it will be a to the power n minus 1 plus finally we shall have a to the power n minus 1. Okay, so how many times a to the power n minus 1? It is actually n times. See here, it is starting from n minus 1, n minus 2 up to the power of x, n minus 1, n minus 2, and finally we are getting x to the power 1. That is, we have one term here, 2, 3, 4 up to n minus 1 term. Okay, along with another term here, that is x to the power 0. So we have n number of terms. Similarly we have here n terms. So if you add all the n terms or similar n terms, so what shall we have finally? It will be n into a to the power n minus 1. So that is the result. Okay, and we shall be using this result in various other problems. Next we have a very important theorem, that is the sandwich theorem. So simply by the word sandwich you mean that there is a loaf in the upside and another loaf downside, and there are some vegetables inside, isn't it? So it means something here, and in between something is there. So that is the concept of sandwich theorem. Okay, so what does it define, or what does it say? If we have three real valued functions f, g and h, real function means all the domain and range, everything will be in terms of real numbers, such that f of x is less than equal to g of x, and that is less than equal to h of x. Now here is the sandwich property is used for all x in the common domain of the definition. Like this function f, g and h all are defined in the common domain. Okay, so for some real number a, if this property holds, that is if the limit of the function fx is same as the limit of the function hx, then we can say that the limit of the function gx is same as them. So graphically what can I say? Let me explain you like this. If this is the graph, here it is x and y, that is equal to just y. Now if I want to write this function fx, gx and hx, so what is the inequality used? This is less than equal to this, less than equal to this. Like if I say this is my fx, okay, and my gx will be somewhere here, but it's not correct. This is my fx function, and what is gx? It is slightly bigger than fx, so let me consider it as this, and it is touching at this point, say this is gx. And what is hx? Bigger than them and touching at this point, hx, because it is written here that it is less than equal to, so at some point these functions are equal. Okay, let me consider that this is the point where these functions are equal. Now it says that if I take the limit of this function, that is if I take the limit of this function fx and hx, if I take their limit, then both their limits are L. Okay, so both their limits are L. Now what about gx? If these two limits are L, so by the sandwich property, this cannot have a different limit. This, its limit will also be L. Okay, so this is the definition, or this is the concept of the sandwich theorem. And you can say otherwise, if this is a thing, if this is converging to this point and this converging to this point, then whatever things is inside this two will press it and take this to the same thing. Okay, so that's the concept. Now for the proof, I am just escaping this proof because you will get this in your graduation if you take mathematics honors, and also in your BSc Maths General you will get this. And using this theorem, there is a beautiful result. If you are interested with the proof, you can go through this theorem in your book. The result says that limit of x tends to 0 sin x by x is equal to 1. A very beautiful result. So you need to remember this, and its proof immediately follows from the proof of the sandwich theorem. So you can refer to the book for that. Now using this, we shall be deducing many other problems from the exercise as well. So let us see a few problems from the exercise. Here we are with a few problems from exercise 13.1. The first one we have is, we need to find the limit of this function, that is x plus 3. Now finding limit numerically, the concept is totally different from the one that we have explained earlier. Earlier we have illustrated a few problems that was x square minus 4 by x minus 2 and a few more. So we have taken the point and we have seen how the function behaves. But when we solve the numerically, it's very easy. What to do? Simply check what happens when you put x equal to 3. Since even though this x is tending to 3, but while solving we shall put x equal to 3. Okay, so limit will be equal to 3 plus 3, and it will be 6. So since this function is defined at x equal to 3, so this is fine. But you will see there are many functions which are not defined at 3, and that is the time when the limit is actually used. So let us see question number 6. Question number 6 says, we need to find the limit at x tends to 0, x plus 1 to the power 5 minus 1 divided by x. Now this is a problem. You can see that if x is 0, if we take directly x equal to 0, and here what we shall have, x is 0, 0 plus 1 will be 1, 1 plus 1 will be something by 0. So this will be an undefined function. So in such a case, what to do? In such a case, we need to manipulate this function, or we need to change the whole thing so that it is defined. So take x plus 1 is equal to y, say. Now if x plus 1 is equal to y, this will imply what? X is equal to y plus y minus 1, isn't it? Now since we have changed this x plus 1 to y, now what about the limit? This will also change. Now earlier, as x tends to 0 implies y will tend to what? If x is 0, then y will be 1, so y will tend to 1, and therefore the new limit is limit y tends to 1. In place of x plus 1, now we have y to the power 5 plus 1 divided by, in place of x, what we have? Y minus 1. Something is wrong here. Yeah, it is actually minus. Otherwise we cannot use the thing that we have done. Okay, minus. Now how does it look like? We shall be using a very renowned property, y tends to 1, y to the power 5 minus 1 to the power 5 divided by y minus 1. Now this is a rational function. Now if you put y is equal to 1 here, 1 minus 1 will be 0, y is equal to 1, 1 minus 1 to the 5 minus 1 to the 5 will be 0. So 0 by 0 form, indeterminate form, isn't it? So in such a case, what to do? Earlier, just before starting of this video, we have proved a theorem, and that was limit x tends to a, x to the power n minus a to the power n divided by x minus a is equal to n a to the power n minus 1. So we shall be using it here. Like, one more thing you can do is that you can divide the y to the power 5 minus 1 to the power 5 by y minus 1, and you can see the result, or else you can directly use that. So what does it say here? What is the n? N is 5, so it will be 5. What is our a? It is 1, and n minus 1 is 4, so our result will be 5. Quite easy, only you have to use the properties properly. Next, let us see question number 8. So in question number 8, what they have done, you see, if we put x equal to 3, so 3 to the power 4 will be 81, 81 minus 81 will be 0, and here also if you put 3, 3 square will be 9, 9 minus 2 18, and 5 3 15, 18 18 will be 0, so indeterminate form. So what to do? Since it is a rational number, it's a rational function, so you need to simplify it more. How? You can see that x to the power 4 minus 81 can be written as x to the power 4 minus 3 to the power 4, isn't it? And 2x square minus 5x minus 3, I can write it as, if I factorize it, 2x square minus 6x plus x minus 3, this will give us 2x minus 3 plus 1 into x minus 3, so this will give us 2x plus 1 into x minus 3. So in place of this, I can write what? Limit x tends to 3, x to the power 4 means x to the power 4, so in place of x to the power 4, I can write is x square of whole square minus 3 square whole square, and since it is in the form a square minus b square formula, so I can write x square plus 3 square into x square minus 3 square, and this can be expanded again, that is x square plus 3 square can be written as x plus 3 into x minus 3. So here we can write x square plus 3 square into x plus 3 into x minus 3 divided by, is it okay? Square minus b square, a plus b, a minus b, okay, fine. A plus b, a minus b, so it is a plus b, a minus b, fine. So, and this part, twice x plus 1 into x plus x minus 3, so I can cancel out these two. Now since I have cancelled out these two, now if we put x equal to 3, see, both the things are defined. So since this is defined, now you can directly put x equal to 3. So our limit will be what? In place of x, just put 3 here, so this will be 3 square plus 3 square into 3 plus 3 divided by 3 into 3 plus 1. This will be 3 square 9, 9 9 18 into 3 plus 3 6, so 3 3 9, 9 plus 1 10. So if you calculate this, it will be 2 3 6 2 5 10, it is 54 by 5. Okay, so quite easy. Now let us see question number 14. Here it is given, find the limit of sin ax by bx. So how to do it? I can write limit x tends to 0 sin of ax divided by ax into ax by bx. Okay, now what is this? Actually I can give it in a bracket, since it is the same function here. I'm just manipulating it. I can cancel out the ax and x and I'll get the same function. Now this is equal to what? Limit x tends to 0 using the algebra of limits, since it is in the product form. So I can write sin of ax divided by ax into limit x tends to ax by bx. I can cancel out the x and x because these two are same. Now what is this? Just after the explanation of the sandwich theorem, we have written a result, that is limit x tends to 0 sin x by x is equal to 1, isn't it? So we shall be using it there. That means this will give us 1, this whole thing, and along with this Since a and b is constant, so limit will not act on it, so this will be a by b. Okay, quite easier. In question number 22, they have given a limit, that is limit x tends to pi by 2, and we need to find the limit of 10 twice x by x minus pi by 2. Now you see that the limit x is tending towards pi by 2, isn't it? So if I put x equal to pi by 2, this will be what? 0. And if here we put pi by 2, so this will be 10 pi, and that will also be 0. So we need to change this, okay, or we need to manipulate a bit. So for that, let us take x minus pi by 2 is equal to t, okay, or y, anything. Therefore, what can we write? X is equal to y plus pi by 2, or x is equal to pi by 2 plus y, same thing. Now what about the limit? Since x is tending towards pi by 2, this implies y will tend towards what? So if in place of x, if we have pi by 2, so y will tending to 0. So now since it has been reduced, so we need to reduce our limit also. So this will change to limit y tends to 0, and in place of 10 of twice x, we shall have 10 2 into y plus pi by 2, and divided by, in place of x minus pi by 2, we shall have y, and that will be equal to what? Limit y tends to 0, and here we shall have, this is y, so 2 into pi by 2 will be pi, and plus twice y. Okay, now what is this? Y tends to 0, y. Now what is 10 of pi plus twice pi? If you see the ASTC rule that we have discussed earlier in chapter 3, here we have all positive, sine positive, tan positive, and cos positive. Okay, so it is pi plus twice pi, isn't it? So it is in the third quadrant. So it is pi by 2, first quadrant, second quadrant is pi from here to here, and third quadrant, since it is plus something, so it will be here, and here 10 is positive, so we need to write 10 here, which is positive, and since it is in the even multiple of pi by 2, so 10 will be 10 along with twice y. Okay, now what is this? This is equal to limit y tends to 0, 10 of twice y can be written as 10 twice y by y into twice y divided by y. The same thing, I can cancel out the twice y, and I'll get the same thing here. Now what is that? From here I can cancel out the y's, and I can take the 2 outside. So limit of 10 of twice y by twice y will be equal to 1, and that is equal to 2. Now let us see question number 28. Here they have given a function fx, and it is we need to find the limit at the point 1, because it is we can see here that they have defined the limit using the 1 itself, that is x is varying just near 1. Okay, so the condition with if limit of fx when x is tending to 1 is equal to f of 1, so we need to find we need to find a and b. Okay, so since from this condition that limit of fx when x tends to 1 is equal to f of 1, from here we can get an idea that the limit of this function exists. So when the limit of the function exists, then we can say that limit x tends to 1 negative, that is the left hand limit, is equal to x tends to 1 positive is equal to the right hand limit. That is, these two are equal. From this we can get the idea. Okay, so these two are equal. What we can write? Let us find the left hand limit first. It is x tends to 1 negative f of x, and when x is less than 1, so what function we have? That will be a plus, or limit x tends to 1. Now we can omit the negative sign also, because we have put the function a plus bx, and what is that equal to? If you replace the x by 1, it will be a plus b. Fine. Again, what will be the right hand limit? X tends to 1 positive f of x, and that will be equal to limit x tends to 1 and when 1 is positive, so when 1 is greater, x is greater than 1, so we have to use the function b minus ax, and when it is b minus ax, so in place of x replace it by 1, so it will be b minus a. Fine. Okay, now since the limit exists, so these two must be equal, and this, the condition is that this must be equal to f of 1, so this will also be equal to f of 1, isn't it? So individually I can write this is equal to f of 1 and also this is equal to f of 1. So from here, according to the question, I can write a plus b. What is f of 1? F at the point 1 is equal to 4, so this gives us equation 1, and another we have, that is b minus a is equal to 4, so we have two equations. Now if you subtract it or if you add it, just adding both of this equation, or you can write adding 1 and 2, what we get, b plus b will be twice b, and a minus a will get cancelled, 4 plus 4 will be 8, so this will give us b is equal to 4, and if b is equal to 4, so a will be equal to what? 0. Thus we have got the values of a and b. So this is how we find certain type of problems, and there are many more problems in the book, like question number 24, 25, you can try them yourself, and I have done a few problems in the PDF also, that the notes I will be giving you. Okay, and also please go through the exercise examples especially, so this will be very important for you. These are the exemplar problems, especially example 3, then example 1, and so on. So this will be the end of this video, and in the next video we shall discuss about derivatives, and we shall see how we shall be using the derivatives to solve various problems. Okay, so this will be the end. Thank you.